How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fastidious, and I'm joined here by the wonderful, the very pregnant, the recently birthdayed IvyLee Gaming. How you doing, Ivy?
Hello. I'm okay. Yes, very pregnant.
I was saying to Ivy, and I think people don't understand this. You've got two channels, you stream all the time, you're growing a human. I've got my one channel, the only thing I grow is number twos after I have too big a lunch, and I can barely handle it, so my hat's off to you. It's crazy. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm mostly just tired and dealing with hormones and whatever, but it's okay. I'm lucky. At least I'm stay-at-home job kind of situation, so I make my own schedule. Some days I take a nap and I just don't do any extra work, and it is what it is.
Yeah, it will all be worth it when Baby League Gaming arrives, so I'm excited.
Yes.
All right, so do you think people have figured out what we're talking about based on the title and the guy on the screen?
Probably. I mean, it is the hot topic, right?
Yeah, I would say for a while, it's probably you or Ma Bucket is the people like, what's going on with Ma Bucket? Oh, when's Ivy coming on the channel? These are the things people ask me the most, but I'll tell you the past 2 days has been surpassed by this guy right here. Everyone only wants to talk about Boreas. Here he is, the Nerf heard around the world, kind of literally in our tiny little world. So I really wanted your thoughts, and also we just happened to be chatting this morning, and you've actually been in contact with the devs and stuff and have been getting some feedback. I also got a little feedback, so I thought we could just kick it off. You give your impressions, and based on just, first off, what you think of the whole situation, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty of the kind of good news we got. Not the best presentation of news as we're used to, but pretty good news.
Yeah, so I would say after watching your video of your honest reaction to it, I think I agree with everything. Maybe the few things here and there are not, but overall, I'm 99% against nerfs in any game. But there's always something that can slip through the crack where you're like, okay, fair enough, this does need a nerf. But if that happens, there needs to be a way for people to get their resources back. It's completely unfair for people to spend thousands of dollars chasing a hero because he's broken, whether that's good or not that he's broken, whatever, but people do it because he is the way he is. And they need a reset feature is my biggest, I guess, complaint. And then, yeah, like you said, hasn't he been on the Forerunner server before global launch or?
Yeah,
or no? So I thought people already knew he was broken, like, that's why I'm confused too.
So I actually
how
have
did I not figure that out?
That's great that you brought that up. Let me pull up the message. So in my original video, people might have noticed I mentioned he was released with Trusk, who's not yet on global, on their own banner on the Forerunner server. This was October the 13th. And the reason he was released without any incredible fanfare is because the feedback was, he's okay. That was kind of it.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's not that all the people on Forerunner are stupid, because they're not. What happened was, in the very end of November, when he'd already been out for a month and a half, they did a quick little rework. People started noticing, oh, he's pretty good, but he wasn't like a hero people chased. He wasn't a super had hero. And then just 2 weeks later, or I think it was exactly 2 weeks after they announced this little rework, it was like the last weekend in November, that's when he went live. And all the hype came, and that's when the banner returns simultaneously on Global and Forerunner, and no one knew. There was no request when the rework was put out that, hey guys, he's reworked your Forerunner, go figure it out. And I don't know if you remember, it was like 2 or 3 days before the banner for Cetra and Boreas, so on, and Aurum. 2 days before that it showed up on test server. Cold Brew Gaming, shout out to Cold Brew, actually did figure it out as soon as he tested him. I think a lot of us were also distracted by all the crazy Christmas stuff, so I actually didn't test him until I had him. But as soon as I got him, I was like, yeah, so he's broken. Like, I put out like multiple videos and multiple guides. You guys can check it out, my 221 guide, where it's like criminal how good he is. So I guess I wanted to just speak to that for how it did slip through the cracks. And I also guess I wanted to clarify, my original video was just, I think, dripping with sarcasm. We do have a Forerunner server. We do have a test server. We do have an expansive content creator program. There's a million ways, so.
They have come to me before with things like, oh, could you test this thing? I'm not sure about it. And I might be like, yeah, I hope you sent this message to a bunch of other people too. And I think there was one thing to test recently regarding lust and some bugs she might have had. And I was like, I don't have time to test it right now, but I suggest this person that are very endgame that would probably love to help. Yeah. Like, we have plenty of people that are incredibly smart that love to do this shit too. That I feel like could really, like, that would be like happy to be like, yes, let me test it. Let me see if I can find bugs. Let's work it out. So the fact that they didn't give it much time on the Forerunner server or push that testing it's definitely their mistake. And I agree with you, they need to own up. We messed up. We did not test this buff enough before we released him globally.
Yeah, so I think maybe it's just, and this is something we just were talking about, Ivy, right before we started filming, but you've been in this a lot longer than me. You've played a lot more games than me. You've made content for a lot longer than me. I think maybe I live in this kind of like idyllic little world where not every gacha game is made the same, and I'm hoping it's true when it comes to Watcher of Realms, but this stuff just strikes me as really shady. And then I know it's silly, but like the flowery I don't know even what the word is, political language they used in the announcement, saying, astonishingly, we never expected, and it's like, there's no accountability, and that just sincerely rubs me the wrong way. I know it's not the biggest deal in the world, but things like that, actions like that, verbiage like that, to me, points to things that might be pitfalls, downfalls in the future, you know?
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, it's the gacha industry. It's not exactly the least shady industry that exists, so... It doesn't surprise me, but we hope for better. I'm with you. Every time I play a new game, I hope for better. And then it's same shit, different day.
Very well said. I don't think I'll say that because I think I got all my cursing for 2024 out in that one video. No, I like it. You can bring the spice that I'm not capable of. But I will say, let's get to actually good news and a nice development. So you reached out with a beautiful message. No really other way to say it. So let me pop this up over here. So people can see, and maybe if you want to read this or give a TLDR, whatever you think, this is pretty great what you wrote, and then we can talk about their response.
So this message came because we got contacted to actually, yes, do real testing, like on the test server, Forerunner, whatever. Can you please take a look at the new Boreas? They want our feedback. So good news, they really do want our feedback. So I'm like, okay, but the way they worded it was a little sketchy. It was kind of like he's still good, don't worry. Can you prove that he's still good, please? So people shut up about it. I feel like that's what the intent was. And so I gave a little message just being like, all right, well, I didn't test him before. On the test server, it was someone else's account I made a video on. So I can't really compare, but I'll try when I can. I'm like, but the real feedback, and that's where this starts. So the real feedback I have already is there needs to be a hero reset feature. Like, people spend lots of money on a hero, that's good. Even if he works as intended for PvE, the massive edge, though it might be unfair, PvP could have been why they pulled for him. My YouTube comments are full of people saying they'll never spend again if Moonton is willing to nerf heroes like this, or that they'll uninstall or request refunds if they can't get the resources back, or at least be given the option to do so. I said, I really hope Moonton will work on this feature ASAP after all of this. Infinite Magic Raid is a great example of a reset system that works properly. Anytime a hero is reworked in any way, good or bad, they get added to like a reset page where they were for like, I think it was a month. I'm just trying to remember I haven't played him forever. But the hero can be reset and you get everything that you put into the hero, you get back. So like if you put a soul stone or if you put a dupe of the hero, you would get those items back exactly how you put them in. And I know other games do it too. And it's just a really important feature for player retention because at least they know worst case scenario, if something is broken, busted, whatever, and they invested, they at least get some resources back that they can use somewhere else. Although still may not be ideal, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, things like this massively affect the community morale and create a wave of players quitting and everyone distrusting the company.
I think it's super well put the way you said it, and you said I think Awaken Chaos they totally did as well, and it was just so I never played it.
Okay.
I never played Infinite Magic Raid. I did play Awaken Chaos there, and it was exactly like you said. Like I don't remember the period to be fair, but if it was 2 weeks or 4 weeks, there was a page, and it was like a deconstruction page or something, a breakdown page. I think this is perfectly written, communicated very well. Do you want to? We're not gonna. Breach the privacy by sharing the screenshot of the conversation, but maybe you could just give the response was pretty good if you want to share.
Yeah, I was very happy with the reply. It was along the lines of, well, I guess the nerf on the Forerunner server, whatever, is just a test. Yeah. It's not necessarily what they're really gonna do. It sounds like it's a test. It's not determined whether or not they're even gonna do any of it. It's a test. Is what they said. So kind of like they want our feedback and they like the idea of the reset feature as well. And I did get told they will forward that feedback to the developers about a proper reset feature. So that's number one, great. But number two, the fact that what we're seeing on the Forerunner right now if the feedback is terrible and it really does kind of, break the hero to be to be mediocre, and we're honest about that, they might not do this for global. So I think at least they're open to the communication side of it, and that's one thing I've liked about Moonton is they genuinely seem to want our feedback. And this is hopefully an example of them being willing to hear it.
Totally. And yeah, they reached out to both of us actually, kind of with this backtracky, like, well, maybe could you test them? And it's like, well, maybe you could have asked before, but it is nice that they're asking. And in your response, they did seem really, really receptive. And I think this is a moment I want to take just to speak to what I said in the original video, which I really thought I hammered within the first few minutes, because I know people, not everyone can watch a video I think that video was like 18 minutes long. I get it, guys, don't worry. But I was like, this is coming to Forerunner tomorrow. And then people are already ready to burn the thing down. So I had a lot of sarcasm. I was saying it'd be nice if we had a Forerunner server, a test server. It sounds like, based on, you tell me if I'm correct in hearing this, Ivy, they're saying, all right, let's treat the Forerunner server as a Forerunner server now. Which is pretty cool. And let's ask you guys, the content creators that are on test server, to treat as a test server. So it'd be nice if they asked before it even went live on Forerunner, but this is a solution. And they do seem like they did use some specific way, because you did send me the message of being like, well, it's not come to global yet, so let's see, right?
Yeah. So I think people, I guess we should not overreact. I mean, overreacting is okay. Like you said, we need to voice that this buff does not sound good, or if we are going to buff him, whatever. Maybe the buff is, the nerf. This nerf is needed.
He was too weak.
Yeah. The nerf was needed. I think he's in the 1% of actually, yeah, it really was needed. But the option, and that's, I feel like, I don't know. I really hope that they do something to where by the time this reaches global, there is a better solution where, okay, the nerf is the way it is. It's how it is. It's fair. He was too OP. He was.
He was.
But we don't worry, guys. We introduced a hero reset feature, so if you invested, you can get all your resources back if you don't want to use them anymore. I hope that if they're going to do it the way it is, that they also figure out this feature fast and can make that happen. If not, they're going to just continue to piss off the player base.
Yeah, I think it's just, and this is what concerns me in the general industry and with these companies, is like discounting the value of the goodwill of the player base. Because, of course, there seems to be two contingents, like screw everybody that pulled him, tear the whole thing down, and then also screw the devs, screw the game, tear the whole thing down, they're getting rid of my favorite toy, right? There's something in between, guys, and it sounds like from everything, the little they told me and the much more they've told you, that they're quite receptive to, hey, it hasn't been on global yet, nothing's final, let's get the feedback. So what I suggest we do, and I know this is hard for us on YouTube and the comment section and the Redditeers, but let's try to be level-headed and let's try to come up with some kind of, and you guys can give suggestions to Ivy, give suggestions in the comments of this video on either our Discords, official Discord, should try to come up with a fairly leveled campaign. And I would say maybe we'll do a big survey of what people think. I think at the end of the day, if we all take a long, hard look in the mirror, maybe a cold shower, we know he needed a rework. He needed a big-ass nerf. I think a lot of us also, the ones that don't have Boreas, and I think you can speak to this because you don't even have him. You don't have him A3 like me. That's why I'm so angry, apparently. It's just because I have him. That's what people told me in the comments.
It's the opposite. You feel like it's because I don't have him, I don't care if he gets a nerf because I don't have him anyway. For anything, it should be like, because you have him, you should be like, please don't nerf my favorite hero.
Yeah, he's really not my favorite hero. I've said he's like almost not fun. I've talked about not using him in Void Rift anymore. I will say I'm in the unique position where I'd beaten all the content he can perform in. I'd maxed all that before I got him. So that's nice. And I've always, from the beginning, go check out the video viewers like that I did with Mike. The many times I've talked about him, my 1 hour long Boreas guide. All I say is this guy's broken. We're going to have to address it at some point. My issue is how we are addressing it. So what I suggest we do, guys, they seem very open. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Ivy. I think we should do like a survey or some kind of, I don't know if it's petition or something, but at the very least, like I have some news. That's how we'll wrap it up. I have some news already from Forerunner because they've been testing it all morning, so that'll be pretty fun. But I'll do more testing. You'll probably do testing. We'll hear more and more just from the normal player base on Forerunner over the next few weeks. Once we know that, then we can decide, is the nerf too much? I think it probably is slightly too much. People saying that someone says he's worse than Iona. It's not true at all. That's not how this works. It's not true
He's
at all.
Still going to be extremely good even with the nerf.
He is. So I'll speak to that in 1 second. But yeah, is he going to be Comet? I don't know. Is he going to be a PvP broken ass thing? Certainly not, and that's exciting. But yeah, we should come to that. And I think they should either tone this nerf back slightly, and give a reset crystal, or not tone it back at all and give it a reset crystal. I think that is just a necessity. And that's kind of the thing I don't want to budge on. If they want to nerf him to be worse than Iona, it's a bad look, but they can do that. But they have to give people an avenue, because people are spending their insanely hard to acquire in-game resources, and they're harder to acquire real-life dollars that could be paying for rent or their kid's violin lesson or money or food, all these things. And that's what drives me nuts. People are like, you're trying to be all altruistic and defend. You just have an A3 Boreas. It's just saying to you, if I could crunch the A3 Boreas and that wouldn't be some big outrage, I would do it just to prove. You guys can let me know. Maybe I'll do. I don't care. I just think it's bad for I don't want people quitting. Go through. There's over 1,000 comments on that video, Ivy, and I'll tell you, one way or another, they're not happy. They're not happy. That's by far my most commented video ever. They are not happy, and it's because it's just it was handled poorly. But it's not done yet, and I think that's the big takeaway.
I agree. I agree. I really think the reset feature is like the only real solution. But are we going to get one? I don't know. Like Plarium, people are asking that from Raid forever. But Plarium also really stopped nerfing heroes for like they did in the beginning. And then they just kind of had the policy of we won't nerf, we just bring others up to par, which is what it should be. But if something is truly, there's going to be exceptions where that happens like this. So I think you kind of can't say we
I will
never
also
nerf a
say.
hero.
You guys can let me know in comments, or maybe you can, Ivy. I think we played Raid about the exact same period. I'm no Raid historian, but I can't think of any giant nerf. They nerfed Rotos, which was a terrible look because he was a fusion, a free champion. He was a fusion champion. But even people that are bad at fusions or lazy as heck at fusions, right? They still could have spent $100 and gotten it, right? Which is a lot of money, but it's not people that chase Boreas for $1,000, which people have told me about, right? It's not on the same level, and that nerf was not as. It was strictly kind of a PvP nerf is how it manifested.
And that's what Raid did with they've nerfed a couple. Well, they've nerfed someone that was really broken for only PvE, but it was an epic and it was like a simple oops.
Which one was that?
I think it's a big deal.
I don't know.
Eurogram.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
And then they
a
also
big poison guy or
Corpulent
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
They nerfed a rare, Corpulent Cadaver, because of that rare, you could do ridiculous things in Clan Boss and Hydra Clan Boss, which is after us. We haven't played. After us, this happened, and that was highly affecting the PvP competition of the Hydra Clash in a very unfair way. A rare shouldn't make a composition completely busted to do 20 times the damage of a normal comp. So that was, I think, I was fine with that. But it's very rare that they've even nerfed anything over the 5 years of the game,
Yeah, and if it's even rare for Plarium to do it, and they from what you're describing, they'd never done it with a pay-to-win OP hero that people chase for hundreds and thousands of dollars, I think it says something. So I just think it's not a good precedent, and guys, let's hammer this into the ground here. It is not official on Global at all yet, and they've now, we have it in writing, Ivy, you have it in writing, saying that, hey, this isn't set in stone, so let's make a difference, right? We've got a big community. I have a couple subscribers, you have a lot more. We can mobilize, we can do this together, guys. So let me give you what Arcturus. So Arcturus is from the Dragon Slayers community. He's I think he's the guild leader there, and he's very involved in the Forerunner community. So I've got some immediate feedback I can share. So first impressions, I managed to get some AoE arena updates. He's less dominating in arena now for sure. However, with Venoma Cyrus lead, there's still potential for him to be devastating because of his lower rage cap. So again, he's saying devastating but not broken, so that sounds very good. I said, any news about his potency in PvE content? He said, let me ask around. Then he got back to me, and he said, basically Gear Aid 1, he's still quite viable. However, unclear, it's been hours, right? It just happened. Unclear, viable in the sense that he dominates. From the sense that I got from what we chatted about, it sounds like no, but viable in the sense that he can primary DPS 121. He can. And that is what I postulated in my video, so that's cool to hear. However, Gear Aid 2 sounds like not working, or at least not working in the stupid ass way that he was working. People can check out my 221 free to play, which is another thing, guys. People can get these heroes free to play, right? Do people understand that?
They do exist.
They do exist. We all have the same currency. You just have a smaller chance. But I did a guide where I used super free-to-play gear on him, and then I was saying if you had gotten him free-to-play, you could do this. And it was on a free-to-play, maybe it wasn't. It was on an account that had a free-to-play level stuff, let's say. And the stuff he does is crazy. Freeze is all over. If your Vortex or whoever you use for healing is built poorly, he's just freezing and killing everyone. So he has the healer's extra time to heal himself up. that's bad. Like, that is bad. I said it, watch that video. I go off. Like, I'm not a big Boreas stan. I've always said he was a problem for the game, but I also think how they're addressing the problem is now a bigger problem from the game. So I guess that's where I would leave my thoughts. I'd love to hear your final thoughts, Ivy. And then, who knows, maybe this is the last Boreas video for a couple days. That would be refreshing.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be hopeful that as long as we, as a community, provide the feedback and us that have a test server actually can kind of give an honest opinion too, that it's not necessarily going to be what comes to global. So we do need to relax a little bit, maybe. Maybe we need to kind of, take a couple steps back and wait until we see what the final decision is for global release of this rework, and hope that the reset feature comes. That's just my biggest hope, is that they will really look into the reset feature type, I guess, solution. Because I think it really is. It's the only fair way to go about it. Because even if, we expect them to do better testing, obviously. And it has been on Forerunner Server for a long time. But I don't expect any game to have 100% perfection. There's gonna be something that they don't notice because they didn't test in this weird situation with this one hero, the way these two things work together. Like, it's gonna happen. Yeah. So, I can't blame them sometimes, because it's just logical that something's gonna slip through the cracks, let's be honest.
I think that's a great way to end it, because I do think it circles back to what we both believe to be the solution. There needs to be a reset feature. We can, smile and turn the other cheek kind of thing, and respect that, hey, the player base is demanding more and more content all the time, and quite frankly, I've said this over and over, they are delivering left and right. We literally have Gear 8-4 showing up on Forerunner in tomorrow. Like, it's crazy. They never stop. It's like a new Codex boss, a new this. People are talking about they want Doom Tower content or Summoner's War Tower content stuff. It's gonna come. You know it is. They can't help themselves. They're on top of this, right? So with that level of content, things slip through the cracks. The problem is, this was like the slip of all slips, because it takes seconds to be like, what is going on? What are those numbers? How did he do that in this content? And in Gear 8-3? It just goes on and on. So I think we can rally behind that. I would encourage people to remain level-headed and complain your butt off. Express yourself, but watch your language here and there. Don't make threats like, now I'm never spending again, unless you mean it. You can say, now if they don't do this, I'll never spend again. But we have a window, so let's take advantage of it. And thank you so much, Ivy, for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule. This was so impromptu. You messaged me this morning, and then we started chatting, and I was like, why don't we just film this? And you're like, okay.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
Though. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if you like Ivy, definitely check her out. I'm sure most of you know her. One of my absolute favorites, to call a colleague, a friend, and just someone to watch as a viewer. So get on that. Her links will be in the description and the top pinned comment. If you like my stuff, do with it what you may. Share it with your mother. We'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.